I'm going to talk with you a little bit about issues with inexpensive watches. What are some of the things you can get into? Well, let me show you one. This is a Scheme, which I think is a great watch. But if you look, the back has a rise on it, which is circular, for the battery. Now, this could be a problem or not a problem. It happens to hit my wrist comfortably, where it's not an issue. But the one that's 3 times the price that's made by Casio has a much flatter back. But that one didn't get me and didn't bite me. But I did have one that did. This is a Sinopi, and its back did bother me. It raised quite a bit, and it happened to hit me in an area that bothered my wrist. So I took a hammer and flattened it, and you can see I shaped it again. I brought these edges down, and that is something that occasionally you're going to bump into with an inexpensive watch, is that you're going to have an issue where the underside. You also, this is another inexpensive watch, a Casio. This is not a stock model. I reshaped this for fun. It was more of the block square, and originally this came on another Casio, more of a electronic analog watch with digital too. But in this particular case, to get this one comfortable, I had to come on the underside here and smooth it with a Dremel tool, both grinding and polishing, to get it so that it was smooth to the arm. So you could end up with an inexpensive watch where you're going to have a little problem with the edge that touches your hand, and you may have to be prepared to do something about that. This is an example of a very inexpensive watch that came off of AliExpress, and it happened to have a very comfortable band on the underside with no issues at all. So this was one that came with a very, very comfortable band, and it's stainless, and those are actually solid links too. So even this was $13.90 with shipping. It was a great thing. But I did have the problem. Another issue you can get into with inexpensive watches is the readability of the dial. And this one was a little problematic for me. I just have trouble picking out the time quickly. And the reflections are really, really strong on this one because it has a dark face. But here's one, that I don't notice as many problems with. It still reflects light. This is the Walmart watch for $9.99. But this one just happens to catch the light. So you could be, with an inexpensive watch, you could look at a situation where you're having a lot of reflection coming off. But here's the sister watch to the blue one, and you can see the white with the rhinestone is really, I think, a little easier to read, maybe, even although those hands are still light. Because a light watch overall. But for $13.90, again, a great value. Very, very nice watch. I'd say overall, I tend to be partial to the digitals, and a Scheme, I think, is a great brand. I also like Casio too. The Scheme has some advantages. It actually has a metal case where the Casios have plastic, and that's a big difference. You also have in this band, this is the one that has the slider mechanism here. That allows you to put the band, really lock it anywhere you want on the circumference, which I think is great, and it gives more flexibility to the underside around your hand. But at this point in time, you can get a very reliable watch for $5, $10, $15. You may have to deal with some of the issues of the underside of the band, and you may not. But it's a time in history where you can get a very, very affordable watch for low cost, and I enjoy them all. And I'm finding that with a very inexpensive grouping of watches, I'm having a lot of fun and a good time with them. This again is just a Walmart $9.99 watch. It's kind of a field watch type look, but it does have an artificial band, but you know, it's quite comfortable. It's as comfortable as leather, and it's not susceptible to water. I think that's a plus too. Anyhow, these are just some thoughts about what you're going to get into. I will mention one other thing. A lot of the inexpensive watches are quite large. Personally, I don't mind that. I like a larger watch. I don't have a problem with that, but you might. So you got to just keep in mind that a lot of the inexpensive watches are going to be a little larger, but not all of them. Not all of them. Anyhow, just some tips on what you're going to get into with inexpensive watches.